big aloha. This is Cindy Palos. I'm here live on Maui on a beautiful Sunday, rather windy. And this morning I got up at about 4 and the full moon was showing. The actual full moon's tomorrow night. But there has always been a special power that happens with the full moon. And it's really a treat to be able to be here and be with you on this beautiful morning. I would love to talk about love because the power of love is the most powerful force in the world. And at the time of the full moon, I believe we could actually be enhanced and feel the full power of the Master's love. And maybe many of you feel the power of the full moon. But I think around the world now, there's so many thousands and thousands of people who are aware of that inner connection to the soul of God. And at the time of the full moon, they take some moments out and they actually meditate. And aloha, you are live on the air.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Is this Lisa?
This is Lisa.
Yay, Lisa. How are you doing this beautiful? Well, where are you? Maybe it's not morning where you are.
It's still morning. It is about 11:30 in Roatan, Honduras.
Oh, you're in Honduras. And so did you see that full moon last night, Lisa?
I missed the full moon last night. It said the full moon was the 22nd.
Well, it is actually, but you could see it's the influence of the full moon is there. And I wake up early, and it's so powerful just to stand under the light of the moon. Now, Lisa and I are both metaphysicians. I began when I was around 14 years old, and I worked with the University of Metaphysics and then became the University of Sedona. And I know you also are a metaphysical minister. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How did you get started, Lisa? Give us your background.
Okay. Well, my background is a little bit different. My husband had passed away, and my son left after he had been living with me for 15 years, and then he left to go stay with his dad. And that put me kind of in a little bit of a tailspin. I'd never been alone in my life, and I decided that I probably needed to turn inward and look at different aspects of my life. I have always been deeply, deeply spiritual, but to look more to what it is that I could do to deal with some of the pain that I was experiencing. So at that time, that was 2008, I decided my mom had called and said, hey, I want you to take this class with me. So I decided to take some courses with the University of Metaphysics and the University of Sedona. So I did. So that's what got me started so deep on that path.
Well, I didn't realize that we both started with a similar background. My father died, and I was about 12 at the time. And my mother decided he didn't believe in life after death, but he came to my mother after he passed away and kissed her on the forehead and said, there is a forever. And so she decided to look into this and to take some classes and found Dr. Masters. At that time, it was the Institute of Parapsychology in Hollywood. And that's when I found out about how you could connect with your soul and with God and how there is a forever indeed. And it began my path. And it really gets you in touch with this healing power that you need, because I believe when people pass on, they're there, your loved ones especially are there to reach out to you and to encourage you. And I know that was part of the guidance that was coming from the other side that changed my life and my mother's life. And obviously it influenced yours. So what happened? Now, that was 2008. What have you been doing with it since then?
Well, it was interesting because I asked you what we were doing, and you said love. And love is probably my biggest passion. I love love more than just about anything else. So I thought, okay, well, what are we going to talk about love? But I think what happened in my particular instance was I wrote my dissertation on love, and of course it was a different perspective on love. But I believe that love is the force that is the life force. I believe that love is pranic energy. Love is the frequency of creation. Science has proven that over and over and over. The frequency of love is the frequency of creation. And I think that when we're centered and based, actually let me rephrase that. I know that when we are centered and based in love, when we're living from a heart space and not a head space, our life expresses differently. And I know for me personally, without that experience and that expression of love in my life daily, I would not want to continue it. I have to be able to express, and I want to be able to share, because if I cannot be loved, then I don't see what it is that we're supposed to be doing, because I believe that's what we're here for, is to be loved.
It's so funny because we kind of put this together at the last minute. I've been wanting to connect with you a long time because I was on your radio show that you had there a long time ago. But when you asked what the subject matter is, I just put down love because love really covers it all. But I didn't realize that was your dissertation. And it is true. I mean, we are love. Christ was love. God is love. And that, if we always come back to love, no matter what the circumstance, no matter how difficult the challenges of the time was, but if we always come back to love, then we are always, always going to be in tune with the healing power, the loving power, the compassion, and what we need to get back in tune with God. And so I am really glad we talked about this. Now, how did your journey unfold where you landed up doing your work down in Honduras?
Well, that's interesting. Roatan specifically has very unique qualities about it. There are some very, very strong healing qualities, and then there are some other qualities that are the duality of that experience. When I was doing all of my inner work, I wrote a book, and it was about love, and then I was asked to be on the radio, and and I started doing all my coursework through the University of Sedona. But on my radio show, I talked about love and relationships, not just romantic ones, but also relationships of all kinds. So I think that for me, what it has been is a journey of understanding the true depth of who we are and where we come from, which I am absolutely convinced that it is love. And then it is being that expression in my daily experience and having patience, compassion, acceptance, and understanding of others for them to grow into that understanding or that knowing, or just to even be able to hear that so they can change and grow and experience life on a whole different level. It's not my job to change them. It's my job to be loved. When they're ready, they'll change.
It's interesting because I've been in communication and radio most of my life, and it's really interesting what happens when you open yourself up to talking and communicating. And it's so wonderful that you were able to share and help on the matters of love. And I'd like you just to talk a little bit about the book and how your website and how people can also connect with that so they can connect with you.
Okay. Actually, I'm working on a different book. It's actually a book on vulnerability, which I do appreciate a lot because vulnerability is the truest essence of love. My book was called Beyond Seduction, Loving Without Limits. And it's not about seducing someone, and that's what we need to understand. It's being true and authentic in who we are and who we be and how we experience life from a heart center or a heart space. We do that by listening to the heart of the other person. It is not that I'm going to force you to love me by the way that I experience love, but it is more through me experiencing you and what your needs, wishes, desires, and aspirations and hopes and dreams. All those things are that make you feel loved, and that's what my book talked about. How do we reach the other person? How do we? I'm a woman, and so I wrote from a female vantage because that was easier. So, I was talking about looking at honoring the other person as a male. So again, that's just how I wrote it. So me looking at males and honoring those differences and accepting those differences, but me being strong enough in who I am to accept me and to accept my husband. So for exactly what those differences are, because difference is what makes the world go round. If we were all the same, life would be boring. So that is what that book is about. My next book is actually going to talk by different types of vulnerability and why vulnerability is so critical, important, and what it is that we do to be loved, to be vulnerable, and the different experience that we can realize in life. So that is where that is. That you can contact me, lisahankow.lp@gmail.com. And I have quite a few of my things. I'm making some changes, and there's several different aspects of my life right now. So right now, that's probably going to be the best way to reach me. But it is Lisa.
Maybe you can repeat that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you spell out that website? Because sometimes it's hard for people to hear.
Okay.
So let's spell out your website.
I have on my Facebook page a couple of different links on there. It's Loving Without Limits, and it is Lisa, LISATANKAU.LP@gmail.com is my email to reach me, and I can help you get where it is that you want to be. But it is on my Facebook page, I took my maiden name back, Jones. I haven't changed all my legal stuff. My husband died 11 years ago. I haven't changed all my legal paperwork. But my maiden name is Jones, and so I'm Lisa Jones on Facebook.
Uh-huh. Well, every morning I get up and meditate, and I just write down what comes to me. And maybe I was in tune with you, because I have to say I haven't read your book, but I'm going to now. But this is what came to me. Listen with the heart, the sound that creation sings. Let it lift you up to heaven, carried on the holy dove's wing. Listen to the song of love. Let it live in you. Listen, and you will hear its message that rings forth so loud and clear. Let the mother's love embrace you. Be transformed by this divine light. Become the incarnation of your soul's purpose in this life. Listen to the song of love. Let it heal your heart. Let go of all fear and let that healing start. Listen, and you'll hear the music of the spheres, for you are creation's music, a mirror of heaven on earth living here. So when you just literally said those words, listen with the heart, it was wonderful, because it is so much, I think, in our society, what happens now even more with social media and with multitasking, we have so many directions, and mostly they're mind-centered. Most of social media, most of what I see, and I spend a lot, probably at least 3 hours a day on the internet, probably more like 4 or 5 hours. But a lot of that is mind-centered, not heart-centered, and that's why it's so valuable for me to get up in the morning. And it will take me, I sit for an hour and 8 minutes, because it takes so much to just clear and be clear of all those thoughts and the input we take in. And that's where I really find that beautiful book the next book you're writing about vulnerability is so, so important, because through time, through the years, through the scars and all the fear, we really do close off our heart. And if we have a closed heart, we can't listen with our heart.
I agree with that, absolutely. I think it's really wonderful that we're on the same heart wavelength. I agree with you. I think that when we experience pain, we start shutting down, and the first thing we shut down is the heart. And it doesn't matter what kind of pain it is. We shut down the heart for preservation so that we can live more freely, we think, but we actually shut off the flow of positive, loving vibrations, energy, whatever you want to call it, to come through us and for